Welcome to A1 Storyteller, where we bring you the most gripping and unforgettable tales. This one will keep you on the edge of your seat. Imagine a ruthless gang making a deadly mistake. They kill a black woman's dog, unaware that she's the most lethal assassin to ever live. What follows is a storm of vengeance they never saw coming. Stay locked in, because this is a story you won't forget. The moon hung low over the city, its silver light casting long shadows in the alleyway. In the quiet of the night, a sleek black dog trotted beside its owner. A woman wrapped in a long leather coat, her face partially hidden by the hood. She moved like a whisper, graceful, silent, exuding an aura that warned trouble to stay away. But trouble didn't always listen. At the mouth of the alley, a gang of 6 loitered, their laughter crude and sharp against the night air. They were the Iron Fangs, a group known for their recklessness and brutality. Their leader, a tall man with a jagged scar across his cheek, flicked his cigarette to the ground and sneered. "Look what we got here," he said, nodding toward the woman and her dog. One of his men chuckled. "Ain't no one walks these streets alone at night unless they're looking for trouble." The woman didn't respond. She kept walking, her piercing eyes fixed straight ahead. The gang closed in, circling her like vultures scenting a dying animal. "Hey, sweetheart," Scarface taunted, stepping in front of her. "You lost?" Still, she said nothing. Her dog, a muscular Doberman, growled low in its throat. The gang members exchanged glances, the tension crackling in the air. Scarface grinned and pulled a knife from his belt, twirling it lazily. "Cute mutt," he said. "But you know, I've always wondered how loyal dogs really are." Before he could finish, the Doberman lunged, teeth clamped down on his arm, and he screamed, stumbling backward. The rest of the gang exploded into action. A gunshot cracked the silence, and the dog yelped, collapsing to the ground. The woman froze, her heart stopped, the world blurred. Then, silence. The gang smirked at their easy victory, but what they didn't realize was that they had just committed the worst mistake of their lives. The woman slowly knelt beside her dog, her fingers trembling as she touched its fur. The light in its eyes faded, leaving only darkness. A storm was brewing inside her, a rage so cold it burned. She stood up. When she lifted her head, her hood fell away, revealing a face that had once been feared across continents. She was Nia Cole, the most lethal assassin to ever live. And tonight, death was coming for them all. This is just the opening. Do you want me to continue in this style with detailed action, tension, and a relentless revenge plot? Let me know how intense you want it. The street was silent. The gang stood frozen, their bravado evaporating as they looked into Nia Cole's eyes. Eyes that had once been the last thing countless men had ever seen. She inhaled slowly, controlled, suppressing the tidal wave of rage rising inside her. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. Too quiet. "Run!" Scarface, still clutching his bleeding arm, barked out a laugh. "Run? Lady, you must be out of your damn—" Nia moved. No one saw it. 1 second she was standing over her fallen dog. The next, Scarface was gasping as his own knife was buried in his thigh. He collapsed with a guttural scream, writhing on the pavement. The rest of the gang stood stunned. "Shoot her!" someone yelled. Too late. Nia twisted, snatched a pistol from one of the gang members before he could react, and fired. The man with the gun dropped. A bullet lodged in his knee. The others scrambled backward, fear dawning in their eyes. "She's crazy! Who the hell is she?" They had no idea. Nia grabbed the next man by the throat, lifting him slightly off the ground before slamming him against a wall. Bones cracked. He crumpled like a broken marionette. Scarface, still gasping, tried crawling away. Nia turned, eyes locked on him. She walked slowly, deliberately, the echoes of her boots making the night colder. He whimpered. "Please, we didn't know." Nia crouched, gripping his jaws so hard he winced. "You killed my dog," she whispered. "That was your first mistake." She leaned in closer, her lips nearly touching his ear. "Your second mistake?" She pulled out his own gun and pressed it against his kneecap. "You didn't run." The shot rang out. Scarface screamed as his kneecap exploded. The remaining 2 gang members finally turned and bolted down the alley, shoving each other in desperation. Nia didn't chase them. Not yet. She stood, watching Scarface writhing in agony. She had all the time in the world, and this was only the beginning. The two remaining gang members ran until their lungs burned. Their leader was down, 3 of their men were incapacitated, and one single woman, had done it all. "What the hell was that?" one of them gasped as they ducked into an abandoned building. "Who is she?" The other man was shaking. "I don't know, man, but we gotta call Marcus, now." Marcus, their boss, the real leader of the Iron Fangs, he was ruthless, violent, and worst of all, paranoid. If he found out they let a single woman wipe out half their crew, they'd be dead before sunrise. One of them fumbled for his phone. His hands were trembling so badly, he nearly dropped it. He pressed dial. The call barely rang twice before a deep, gravelly voice answered. "You better have a good reason for calling me this late," Marcus growled. Boss, we got a problem," the gang member stammered. "Big problem. Scar and the others, they're down. This woman, she's not normal, man." There was silence on the line, then a slow exhale. "Describe her," Marcus ordered. "Say she's black, mid-30s, moves like a damn ghost. Took Scar's knife and stabbed him with it before he even blinked. Shot Kenny in the knee like it was nothing. She killed us, boss. She ain't human." Another pause. Then, something strange happened. For the first time, Marcus sounded afraid. "Did you get her name?" The gang member hesitated. "No, but..." A sound from behind him made his blood run cold. A whisper, a breath. He turned too late. Nya's blade slid across his throat. The phone slipped from his fingers as he staggered forward, gurgling. His friend barely had time to react before a bullet tore through his skull. The call was still live. Marcus had heard everything. Nya picked up the phone, her fingers stained with blood. She lifted it to her ear. "You wanted my name?" she said. Marcus said nothing. She smiled darkly. "It's Nya Cole." And then she hung up. "Want me to keep going? It's only getting bloodier from here." Marcus sat frozen, gripping the phone so tightly his knuckles turned white. The name Nya Cole sent a chill through his spine. He hadn't heard that name in years. Most people assumed she was a myth, an assassin so skilled, so merciless, that even the most hardened killers whispered her name like a ghost story. But Marcus knew better, because years ago he had seen her work firsthand. He had watched entire crime syndicates vanish overnight, bodies left as nothing more than gruesome warnings. And now she was coming for him. He exhaled sharply, forcing himself to think. She had to die, now. He dialed a number. The voice on the other end answered almost immediately. "Yeah, we have a problem," Marcus said, his voice cold. "I need every man on the streets looking for a woman named Nya Cole. If they see her, they shoot to kill, no questions." The voice hesitated. "Wait, Nya Cole? The Nya Cole? You deaf?" Marcus snapped. "Yes, and if we don't take her out first, we're all dead men." The call ended. Marcus leaned back in his chair, running a hand over his face. This was war. Nya moved through the city like a shadow, her presence barely a whisper against the night. She had spent years in the darkness, and now she was stepping back into it, not for money, not for power, but for something far more personal, vengeance. The Iron Fangs thought they could hunt her. They didn't realize the predator had already picked her prey. She knew their operations. Every hideout, every safe house, every single place they felt secure, and she would burn it all to the ground. Her first target was a rundown warehouse on the west side, a drug lab doubling as a weapons stash. She perched on a rooftop across the street, scanning the perimeter. 3 guards outside, heavily armed but undisciplined. She had killed men 10 times their caliber. She moved. Like a wraith, she dropped from the rooftop and sprinted toward the first guard. He never saw her coming. A swift knife to the throat and he crumpled. The second turned just in time to see his friend fall. He opened his mouth to shout. Pop! A silenced bullet entered his skull before the sound left his lips. The third ran. Smart. But not smart enough. Nya pursued. Her legs carried her faster than he could comprehend. Before he could reach the door, she was there. A single gunshot. His knee exploded. He collapsed, howling in pain. Nya knelt beside him, pressing the barrel of her pistol to his forehead. "Where's Marcus?" I don't know, he whimpered. Wrong answer. She shot him in the other knee. He screamed. Try again, she said, voice eerily calm. Heh, he's at the club, the Crimson Lounge, but he won't be alone. He's got his best guys with him. Naya smiled. Good, more for me. She pulled the trigger. The man slumped, lifeless. She stood and wiped the blood from her blade. Marcus thought he was safe in his club. He was about to learn that nowhere was safe. The Crimson Lounge was the kind of place where deals were made in hushed voices, and the wrong look could get you killed. Tonight, it was packed with criminals, gangsters, and lowlifes, all completely unaware that death was walking through the front doors. Nya didn't hesitate. She stepped inside, moving with the confidence of someone who had nothing to fear. The bouncer at the door barely had time to react before her blade slid between his ribs. The music was loud. No one noticed the first kill. She walked deeper into the club, scanning the room. Then she saw him. Marcus. He sat in a private booth, surrounded by armed men, laughing like he had no care in the world. Naya pulled out her suppressed pistol. Then she fired. The first shot hit the man beside Marcus, dropping him instantly. The second took out another guard. Panic erupted. People screamed. Tables flipped. Marcus dove for cover, barking orders. Nya didn't stop. She moved like a phantom, weaving through the chaos, firing with deadly precision. One by one, Marcus's men fell. A thug charged at her, a knife in hand. Bad move. She caught his wrist, twisted it until bones snapped, then buried her own knife in his heart. Blood sprayed across her face, but she didn't blink. Finally, it was just her and Marcus. He scrambled backward, reaching for a gun. Bang! Nya shot it out of his hand. He gasped, clutching his bleeding fingers. Nya, listen, we can talk about this. She stepped closer, her gun trained on his head. You killed my dog. Marcus's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. It wasn't personal, he stammered. We didn't know who you were. If we did, we never would have. She silenced him with a bullet to the shoulder. He screamed. Shut up, she said. Marcus whimpered, blood pooling around him. Please. Nya crouched, her voice ice cold. Did my dog beg? Tears streamed down his face. Nya cocked her gun. Goodbye, Marcus. The last thing he saw was her finger pulling the trigger. The city awoke to headlines of a massacre. The Iron Fangs were finished, their leader dead, their men slaughtered. The underworld whispered one name in fear, Nia Cole. She disappeared after that, fading back into the shadows. She had no need for fame, no need for recognition. She had avenged her dog, and for her, that was enough. But the world would never forget. Because somewhere out there, in the darkness, the most lethal assassin to ever live was still watching. And that, my friends, is the story of what happens when you mess with the wrong person. Nia Cole wasn't just an assassin. She was a force of nature. If you loved this tale of vengeance, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to A1 Storyteller for more gripping stories. What would you do if you were in her shoes? Let us know in the comments. And remember, be careful who you cross, because you never know who's watching.